Don't believe any headlines Bitcoin is going lower. This is what I posted in the community. I'm hoping for higher prices on Friday, but where do we reject? How do we reject? How I'm taking a short position, how I'm adding to my short position, what else I am taking as a trade. That's what I'm going to talk about. I have two short positions that you probably know if you're coming back on the channel, and I do have a long position that I have on oil and a short on the S&P. I'm going to talk about all this. And you know, yesterday I made this video. I can't believe you're falling for this. There's a lot of things happening which we're going to talk about, but mainly, again, how do we take advantage of this, and why I believe that this pump that you see now or potentially see in the coming days is going to fade away and going to wreck so many of you. Let's get going. If you don't know who I am, my name is 𝗲𝗲. I built this channel to give you a 5 to 10 minute update every single day on how I navigate the market as a trader. Been here since 2016. We're called the 100x Club because I make 4% a month. Accumulated over 10 years is 100x your net worth. You can ChatGPT that. 22% if you're not subscribed. So you want to smash that subscribe button. And yeah, let's get going. So very important, we're gonna run through some of the news just because it is market moving. One of them is Trump basically came out and said, we won the war in Iran. Iran comes back, they're like, you're negotiating with yourself and do not call your defeat an agreement. Again, this is kind of seemingly the US is losing a little bit of ground here. They have told mediators that they have now been tracked twice by President Trump. This is what I said last time. Trump said that they're going to have negotiations on Monday and then bomb the shit out of them on Saturday, and now they are kind of losing it. Now, there is an answer to Trump's ceasefire proposal. They proposed a 1 month ceasefire, which is, again, we bombed the shit out of you, and then now we want a month. They obviously need to mobilize, and that's why Trump needs a month. They came back and they basically said closure of all U.S. bases in the Gulf, new 値 framework, blah, 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 blah. All the points that Trump is never going to agree to. But what is interesting is that with 1 month ceasefire, Iran is going to get much more strong than it is now. 15,000 more Shahed drones, 300 more ballistic missiles, 4.2 billion transit fees in revenue, 9 billion from oil revenue. Now, what is interesting is that suddenly the US came out and they actually increased the maximum enlistment age from 34 to 42. That means that now there is another 6-year difference. What is it? 8-year difference. 8 years older people can now go to the military, which seemingly means that there is not enough drafting happening. There is not enough people applying to the military, and they do have a problem, especially if they are truly going into war. There is this post that made me laugh a little bit. This war is most likely to end up doing a regime change in America than in Iran, and it does seem like it. All that doesn't even matter because Israel doesn't care. They basically said that, you know, they say when the war ends, and Netanyahu came out and they said, you know, it doesn't matter, Trump says this and Trump says that. They are going to keep bombing Iran, and they have 2-3 more weeks regardless of peace talks. All that combined with the economic situation in the US and in the world, more funds now, 5 big funds blocking withdrawals. You know, we've seen that 2008 petrol situation in Asia, in India, all across the board is basically piling up, and we are going to have a massive shortage in Europe. All that combined with the Magnificent 7 and the S&P down from their tops. Apple, which dropped the least, is down 13%. Microsoft down 31%. That's like a proper shitcoin. All that while the S&P 500 is down on the month, Nasdaq is down on the month, and Bitcoin and crypto is up on the month, which is a freaking miracle. But I am telling you, do not believe headlines, okay? Short Bitcoin, long oil, and thank me later. I'm gonna talk about the oil trade because it's very, very important a little bit later. Oil has dropped quite a bit. So if you look at both Brent and WTI have had a 15% drop yesterday after this whole announcement on the peace talks and whatnot. So we have to talk about this trade, and I do believe this is gonna be one of the biggest and best trades that we have in the coming months. 30-40% on a traditional asset like oil is absolutely insane, and it is coming. But first, let me talk about Bitcoin. So very important. The reason why I say don't believe headlines is because these headlines will make you believe that everything is fine. And I hate to say it, you know, I hate to say it, but it is American propaganda. It is. Because if you look at the facts, if you look at why on earth would they trick them? Why on earth would Trump come out and say we won and Iran immediately just rejecting that they didn't even have a talk? Why would they increase the maximum age for military from 34 to 42? Why would they need 5 days break while Israel is still bombing keeping them busy. And then there are ships, 3,000 Marines arriving to Iran on Friday. Why would they need all this if not for a ground invasion, or if not for an extensive bombing or destruction that is going to happen? And if that happens, Trump has to keep oil low and has to keep markets up until Friday when the markets get closed. And this is the exact playbook. And I brought this tweet here that they have been tricked 2 times already. We don't want to be fooled again. So 2 previous rounds of Iran talks, Trump greenlit surprise attacks while claiming to be seeking a deal. This is order the deal, Donald Trump, right? So we're gonna see this happen, the exact same playbook. And if you just fall into the fact that, oh, there's gonna be ceasefire, oh, the Hormuz is going to be open, it's not like fucking just anybody can with a snap of a finger just open it and resolve the situation. That means we are going lower. Not only that, but also if you look at the higher time frame structure, especially in Bitcoin, this is cooked. I know it looks fantastic, and I know you're thinking, oh my god, but Tao is of someone. I got 3 DMs about Tao. I don't know about you, cuz, but I got like DMs about, oh my god, are you in Tao? You know why Tao is up? Because major people talking about it and pushing. Why? Because probably they want to fucking exit. That's why Tao is up. Again, Tao is a great protocol, by the way. I do hold Tao and I will hold Tao, but ultimately that's what this is about. So you see this and you're like, holy shit, we're so back. And then it's a 6% pump on Bitcoin. And if you look at this is what we call a built-up liquidity. Last time we've seen this, I don't know if you remember, but I, on the show here, publicly said, I called this drop on Rune. I actually don't know where, I don't know if I have the drawing here still. What was the, maybe I did it on Bybit. Yeah, here, look. I literally, here on the channel, drafted this when it happened. I literally here said, and I said, look at this, like there is massive built-up liquidity. And I drafted this when we were up here. I drafted it on the show and I said, the reason why I don't trust this at all is because this liquidity, especially on a daily time frame, usually get taken heavily. So now you can look back at Bitcoin and look at this liquidity here that is building up. First of all, this here on the daily chart is absolutely madness. This is going to get taken. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And the question remains, are we going to have a push here to the 78,000 region, which I've been expecting? This is basically why I'm hoping for higher prices, but I don't think it's happening because the US is mobilizing, and I do believe that this weekend is going to be catastrophic for the markets. And that said, I do believe we're going to have a retrace on the 4-hour leg, which already is broken because this here was the 4-hour level. This is nothing else but a retrace to a higher time frame order block, and after having a retrace potentially throughout the week, we're gonna have a retrace all the way up here. Then Baron Trump can take a short position, and then this thing is probably going down to sub 65 to sub 60,000 eventually. So patience is required, but I'm telling you, if you're gonna start buying into all these freaking headlines and you start gonna believe that everything is fine, and you start gonna take a long position because Tao is up and because the market is this and that, you are going to get completely freaking destroyed. Ultimately, I do believe that 76,000 is going to hold. If for whatever reason the US can't mobilize and is not going to attack on the weekend, I think there's a very slight chance to that. We might see it skyrocket to 78 because if there is no attack on the weekend, Trump will do anything he can towards the end of the week to actually pump the markets and give hopium for the community or for the people. So what's going to happen is that it can happen that we rally all the way to 78, 79. We're gonna see. I'm happy to get stopped here if that happens. I don't mind it. But ultimately, I do think that these positions are safe. I am going to take a heavy short position on Bitcoin when I see that it is due again. I'm gonna update you in the community. Also, these posts, I didn't tell you, but I have this community. It's completely free. I just share my mind whenever something happens. It was like 8:30 here, and I did it. So just join in there because I think it makes a lot of sense. There's a link in the description. Let's talk about oil because I do think it's very, very relevant. So oil is weird. Again, why did oil fall? Because there is anticipation of some negotiations and whatever. I think this is all the fucking hoax, bro. Like all these things. My stop loss is actually 75. You can see it here. I'm trading oil on 2bit. They are our partners, by the way. We have an incredible deposit bonus deal. You can go and check that out. You deposit 20,000, you get 2,000. You can trade with it. It's basically a risk-free trade. Trading is risky, but using these bonuses helps you just test the platform without any risk. So go and do that. But what I wanted to say is 75 is my stop loss here. Very is it? It's here, down here. You don't see it because I'm here. Let me just move myself. Anyway, you just gotta trust me. It is 75. So 75 is my stop loss, and the reason why that is because this level resulted in a 15-minute market structure shift. The reason why I think that this is going to skyrocket is because if you look at all the situations that are happening, all these things, for example, you can see these oil crises, that it's not only happening in Asia and India now, but it's happening across the globe, specifically in Europe and Asia. That is a big ass problem, and there is no reason for oil to start going down. If you look at prior to the conflict back here, oil was at around 60, 70, 80, somewhere here. I think the bottom is still in for oil at 75. And even if it is not, again, I'm happy to get stopped. And I am going to take another massive, massive long position. All I'm waiting for now is an hourly or a 15-minute market structure shift on oil. And I'm taking a big, 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 big oil position. So if this comes a little bit lower and then it shows a market structure shift, it will be instant. So you can also start adding and layering in. I might actually open up a bot for this. But ultimately, oil is going to go above 125. It's not a question of when, but it's not a question of if, but a question of when. And if oil, or when oil does go above that price from here, that's a 40% trade on one of the most traded assets on the planet. I do think it's a no-brainer, and you can trade oil on 2bit as well if you want to. So go and check that out, guys. This is my ultimate scenario: long Bitcoin, short Bitcoin, long oil. Come back every single day, join the community, and I'll see you in the next one. Do not believe headlines. We're going lower. Take care.